Hello, guys. This is High Priestess Jamila, and I wanted to come and give some of my 2 cents of the story of Nolan Wells. And I wanted to say rest in peace to this brother, very young and gorgeous star athlete at some college in, I believe it was Mississippi. Um, I wanted to come and talk about something that a lot of people are probably going to be a little alarmed by, but what people are gonna probably either already know or realize in the next few years is that a lot of these racially motivated crimes, they do have something to do with color of skin, but then again, it's not just that, it is the face card. And so, something that I wanted to point out to you guys um, is this very important fact. This is not in any way to demean Christians or religious people. However, since Christianity was thought of, and mainly these types of religious psychoses that led to Nolan Wells' death are actually very common. And it actually affects Christians. It can affect Christians of all races. Now, I'm not saying that all Christians are like this. I'm not saying that all religious people are like this, you know. My significant other, someone that I love very much and want to marry, is a Christian, and he doesn't have these types of issues. However, one thing that I think that a lot of people forgot about is the fact that there are a lot of people with a Christian background that are seeing demon faces, okay? And it's demon faces that they are seeing, but it is also a certain facial profile that they can see, okay, that's actually not there, or it is for them connected to the devil or Satan. I believe that, and I know this is going to be very controversial, but I, for one, believe that if Nolan Wells would have stayed at home for that 4th of July, somebody on that trip would have ended up dead. And it is because especially during the holidays, when there is an increase in worldwide energy, especially being what people were celebrating that holiday very differently and for different reasons. A lot of people celebrated with an intention of, I want liberation. Okay, that's the way everyone sees that particular holiday. Okay, I feel like no matter if Nolan Wells did not go there, I feel like somebody on that trip would have ended up killed by whoever the murderer is. I'm not revealing who the murderer is because I have not looked into it. I don't do things like that, okay? But what I am picking up from the person that murdered Nolan Wells is that the person is in a religious psychosis. And unfortunately, when a lot of people when people go into a religious psychosis, in particular, a white person, because it was a white person that took his life, very often that psychosis can go to a black person. Now, in looking at Nolan Wells, and this is, I'm curious as to any other readers that may have picked up on this, is looking at his face. He has a very unique but very gorgeous face. And it was not about jealousy. It was about the way that he looked. And a lot of people would look at Nolan Wells and they would say that he is attractive, but there are a lot of people that would look at him, in particular someone in a religious psychosis, and they would look at him like he was the devil. He wore his natural hair. The main thing that would have made him a target would be the entire frontal area of his face, which is probably more than likely where he was struck at, which I don't believe that they have released that information, but it's starting all the way up from the top of his crown, the eyes, the nose, the lips, okay? And I know this for a fact because I have an extremely unique face, and I've had experiences on more than one occasion where people that were in like a religious weird psychosis kind of looked at me like I was the devil. I never forget, years ago I worked for Sprint, and I was going to work, going up the elevator, and there was a black woman, probably about Nolan Wells' complexion, and she looked at me, and we were the only ones that were on the elevator, and she said to me, "It's so many different people," like just out of the blue. And I've had that experience so many times because that they say that the devil or Satan comes in many different forms. And I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to warn you guys, as well as Christians, if you are not protected by the ancestors, or if you are an extremely religious person, you really, really, really want to watch yourself to where you are not going into this psychosis to where you're starting to think that people are the devil. In particular, feeling like, the whole thing where they say that a person has been replaced and the original person is gone. And so what is replacing them? Right? One other thing that I wanted to give you an example of was, if you guys ever saw the movie Malcolm X, Malcolm X spoke about his experiences being at school and the teacher being a racist white person. When Malcolm X raised his hand, he said, "Oh, look, it's the devil. He has a question." So in particular, when people, especially racists, and there are black people that have hatred for their own, okay? But in that particular scenario, Nolan Wells was seen as the devil, even though we all know that he was not. He had been struggling with racism and in 2026, which is ridiculous, but it was his face card. Definitely the very strong and square jawline, and the attractiveness, okay? And just the way that he looks. So I wanted to kind of warn people about that, because there are some people, and I think that it is connected to a religious spirit, um, to where there are some people that believe that some of us walking around here are like the devil himself or herself, like the many, many parts of the devil. And I believe that that is what the person saw during that time. Keep in mind, these are young kids that are drinking, who are under the age of 21, who probably should not be drinking. I believe that he was 18. There's a reason why they say drink responsibly. Hello. That's why you need to be 21 or over to drink. I'll talk more about this later, but I sat here and just randomly thought about it, and that is exactly what happened. And I think that a lot of people either need to be protected from that kind of delusional psychosis. A lot of people need to be protected from it. Protect your loved ones from it. Protect yourself from it, because it is an actual thing. You guys can do research where there have been a lot of people that become delusional and they see something different other than the person's actual face. And usually it is someone that has very stunning features, like Nolan Wells. And so that, what I'm picking up is that it was really random. The person that murdered him was drunk. They had a little bit too much to drink. And because Nolan Wells was very outspoken, he was very charismatic, the person kind of saw him as being arrogant and disrespectful. And it was really a crime of passion. It was definitely another guy that did it. But it was done. Do I feel it was premeditated? No. I don't feel like it was premeditated, okay? I'm going to check real quick as I'm talking on Nolan Wells' zodiac sign real quick. But he was born in August. We don't know his exact birth date, so that would make him either a Leo or a Virgo. I would venture out to say that he's Leo. He kind of looks like he could be a lion, but you never know, okay? Authorities said 13 hours ago that they believe Wells drowned and they don't suspect foul play. I definitely suspect, sorry about that if y'all heard those notifications, I definitely suspect foul play. But you know, I definitely do pick up on that, and I want a lot of you guys to really, really be careful, like when you're out and about, or if you're in like a club or at some kind of gathering or some kind of public place, and you see somebody that is like freaking out and they're looking at you and they're acting crazy. Just make sure that you do not amplify that person, or what do you call that? Make sure that you don't let that person get escalated. However, you do want to protect yourself from this aspect of religion. There is actually a very negative aspect of religion, and I believe that Nolan Wells was taken out because of the way that he looks. I believe that he was seen as a devil. He was seen as a demon. And I believe that the person that is responsible for his death um, definitely was tripping on that. I feel like it was a situation to where somebody felt like Nolan Wells was a danger, that he was a threat, and they wanted to get rid of him. And it wasn't that he was a threat because of football or whatever sport that he was playing. I don't even know. They felt like he was a spiritual threat. They felt like he was not human, or they felt like he was the devil. Something to that degree is what I'm really, really picking up on big time. And this happens more often than you guys think. You know, a variety of ages. If you guys notice, we've been seeing a lot of things in the news about even little children, various ages, people that you look at. And I mean, I personally feel like we're all beautiful under the eyes of God. God looks at us like we're all beautiful. But there are certain people with certain stunning looks about themselves. And that's one of the reasons why you guys hear all these stories about people being murdered. And you'll say, oh my God, that person was so beautiful. They were so attractive. That is why. It is because beauty is seen as demonic. It's seen as you're looked at as a devil. You're looked at like you are the devil, or you're part of the devil. And I feel like this is going to be something that is going to be happening more often. And if you or your loved ones is not protected from this, then it could happen. Okay. And so you just really, really want to be careful out there. Okay. All right. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I know that this is going to be probably very different from some of the other readers or channelers of this situation. But I feel like that is the exact reason why he was taken out, was because of the way that he looks. And it wasn't anything about jealousy, strictly and specifically some kind of religious psychosis that someone was in. They were drinking spirits. Okay, alcohol definitely opens you up for spiritual possession, especially when you're drinking unconsecrated liquor and spirits. And that is what I believe in my heart of hearts happened. Okay. All right. So again, beautiful people, all of you guys are beautiful, wonderful. But this is something that automatically, if you are someone that looks a certain way, people automatically, there's some people, not everybody, but there's some people that hate you. And it has nothing to do with necessarily beauty, but it has something to do with their minds connecting it to the devil, especially if they have suffered any type of religious trauma or some kind of trauma, or if they're under possession. So the person that murdered Nolan was definitely under some kind of possession, and had been seeing demon faces for a while. So, you know, I hope that whoever that person is, they said that there was no foul play. Well, you know, this was definitely a murder. It definitely was a murder, in my opinion. But I just don't think that they are either seeing it, or I'm not going to even make comment about anything, okay, about the police or nothing like that. Anyway, that's my sentiments. Rest in peace, Nolan Wells. You were a beautiful guy. And it's sad to see you gone. Okay. All right, y'all. Stay safe out in these streets. Stay safe. Keep yourself protected. And I'll see you guys next time. Blessings to you. Bye-bye.